that guerrilla interview of someone that gave him $80,000 loan who had just retired from the DA's investigators office in the Santa Barbara DA's. But now Mr. Lynn is too busy tonight. Neither Miss Dudley nor Mr. Lynn. The voters that are probably watching this show, except for the district attorneys, the police officers and whatnot, most of you people out there are people who are very unhappy with government. And you know you're being screwed by your federal government, your state government, and now you're seeing how they have controlled even the debate for DA, so nobody gets to really ask any poignant questions. I think that's wrong. If the DA cannot come on, or a proposed DA cannot come on this show, I mean, what am I going to do? Beat up the district attorney on the show who could prosecute me? I mean, I'm not going to bite him. What are they so afraid of? I don't know what Jocelyn's so afraid of. I don't know what Miss Dudley's afraid of. But I think they ought to rethink it, because if I can't speak for the thousands of you people here in Santa Maria, Lompoc, and Solvang that watch this show every week or every other week, and I know some of you watch it 2 or 3 times a week because it repeats, if I can't ask them questions, what chance do you have? I've been doing this show on politics for 10 years. We'll be starting our 11th season this summer, God willing. And all I want to do is dig into what's really motivating these people and who's really not as squeaky clean as they claim to be. Now, on that first clip, you'll remember, we had this piece where ethics was the issue. And I think you heard Miss Dudley say her ethics have never been questioned. Well, my co-host here is going to read something, and you ask yourself, and Miss Dudley, I want to give you time to come on television and rebut this. This is not one of those slam you and you don't get a chance to answer. I think it's only fair, but since you suddenly have no time after you'd already booked May 7th with me, and now you backed away from that because things are complicated, as you told me today, Miss Dudley, I still will give you a chance to come on, except now it'll air after people get their sample ballots, and people will be mailing in their mail-in ballots before you'll get a chance. But go ahead, read the date of this court action.
All right, this is the Santa Barbara Supreme Court, July 21st, 1995. People versus Inda. The motion for a new trial was heard and submitted on April 28th, 1995. Joyce E. Dudley, Deputy District Attorney, and Eric A. Hansen, Chief Trial Deputy, represented the plaintiff. Steve R. Bash, Jr. represented the defendant. Motion for a retrial are rarely granted, although an undersigned has printed over more than 100 criminal justice trials, and will be the first such motion I have granted. This is due to the fact that both prosecutor and defendant counsel in the committee consistently adhere to the highest professional and ethical standards.
Oh, was there something there, Cassandra, about highest ethical and professional standards?
Yes, it does. It says
And
that they adhere to it.
Is this the late Judge McMahon?
It is, actually.
Yeah, if we zoom in on it, which we're not going to do, but it does say Judge McMahon. He just passed away. And I think they named a law library or something after him. He's saying, people, over 100 such cases, he's never granted a retrial?
No.
And he's granting it on this one, right?
Yes, this is actually
And who is
his
the
first.
prosecutor?
The prosecutor is Joyce E. Dudley.
Isn't she running for District Attorney of Santa Barbara?
She is, actually.
And a lot of people are saying she's already got it sewed up, it's a done deal. And I'm saying, Miss Dudley, you don't care about the voters you're trying to get to vote for you, or you would have been on this show and answer my questions. And I wasn't even going to raise this issue. But since you chose not to come on the show next week, and have disappointed thousands of people. Watch this. I thought it's only fair, since you're claiming you have no ethical violations, nothing you've ever done wrong, and I'm not saying I'm backing Josh Lynn. I'm just saying the people have a right to know, because you, madam, have too much power as district attorney to never ante up any answers to anything that didn't get pre-screened by your local bar association. I mean, that's the kind of nonsense they did with the, 6 judges up for re-election this year, this election, and they won't even be on the ballot because nobody would run against them. Because only lawyers and members of the bar are allowed to run against them. So they did a meet and greet, and I got it all on tape.
Court is to focus on listening and on really allowing people to speak their piece, and to try and make an effort to, within the bounds of ethical propriety, to make sure you're not helping one side or the other, to ensure a level playing field, to elicit the information that's needed in order to make a fair decision. And I know from my discussions with my colleagues in the family law bar that each and every one of them in our county, I would echo the others here tonight who would say that they have excellent colleagues. We have an excellent family law bench in this county. And I know that each and every one of them strive to do the same. That is, to be good active listeners, to, within the bounds of ethical propriety, try and work with self-represented litigants to ensure that they are getting a level playing field and are having a good opportunity to present their case.
Great, thank you, Judge Stern. And I will Q&A period by sharing one last question to Judge Flores. Actually, someone in our audience wants to know, why is this a meet and greet and not an open question session? They use the word orchestrated, but
well, I mean, I think it's a great question. I mean, you know, sometimes this audience, you know, is a wonderful audience, but sometimes there's a lot of emotion involving dealing with people like judges and stuff, and so, you know, we don't want to get into anything that would be, you know, embarrassing for anybody here. So, you know, by asking the questions the way we did tonight, it was just a nice way to streamline this stuff. Plus, I want to encourage all of you in the audience and all of my colleagues. I want to do this again. You know, I want to, maybe a year or two down the road, you know, we really need to have a dialogue between the courts and the public that we serve. This is really important. I'd like to have this kind of dialogue with young people, with high school people. You know, just a room full of just kids. You know, let them know, you know, what they're not only about juvenile issues but adult issues. And, you know, we have really an opportunity to talk to each other. There's really a misconception about the judges. You know, if you had a chance to meet us tonight, and you know, we're not an ivory tower. We're not. You know, we are people like you. We live in this community. We worry about the same things you do. You know, one of the things I forgot to mention earlier when I presented is, I will challenge all of you to go home tonight and look at the San Maria Times or whatever newspaper you read, and just take a pen and just circle how many stories there are about the courts. And I did that one time, and it was like every page, every. The
juvenile court does run differently, and part of that is because of the concern for confidentiality with minors, and perhaps Judge Herman, who is anxious to speak about these matters, would like to comment further. But there are, even in the juvenile court, however, some matters which can be open to the public, and in general, however, juvenile court records are confidential, and some special permission would need to be obtained to be in the courtroom.
Great, thank you very much, Judge Beebe. And speaking of confidentiality, I will ask Judge Harmon. The question is, how do you balance the confidentiality of the identity of the party who makes a report to the Child Welfare Service with the accused's right to confront and cross-examine witnesses? I hope you understand that question, because I don't.
I think I do. Cross-examination and confrontation does have a place in the juvenile court. pairs of reports can be cross-examined within the juvenile court system. Every party has the right to do that. Every party has the right to do that. There is a confidentiality protection.
And I'll reiterate his words. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank the judges. I want to, of course, thank the Santa Barbara County Bar Association for sponsoring this event. This is one of, we hope, many events that the public and the judicial system get to interact and get to know what the third leg of that stool is all about.
The meet and greet. I think the Nazi judges had one of those right before they just did away with judges and courts and just arrested the Jews and hauled them off with no pretense of trial.